So your security approach is that you have no idea why you got out of bed this morning.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't think that's really a strategy. I mean, technically it's a strategy.
I don't do strategy anymore. I think that's tactics is where I live.
Okay.
Because
So
that's the only way that you get some success nowadays.
Yeah, but strategy gets to do all the travel.
I will forego the travel.
You did the whole conference circuit for the past 2 years. You're done, right?
Not only the conference. I remember when Dell took me around the world in a week, and I spent more time in a plane than actually in the ground.
Why?
Yeah, I did a couple of those trips in my career. So yeah. I went from Raleigh to Shanghai to Bangalore to Raleigh on the circuit.
Stay warm, but I had Eugene, San Francisco, Shanghai, Kuala Lumpur, Bangalore, Frankfurt, San Francisco, Eugene again.
Wow.
Why did they take it to Kuala Lumpur? What's there?
We stopped there, and for reasons of passport, I had a bit of an anxiety stay.
Probably.
Good times.
Tell that story. That
good
story
times. Good times.
That'll stay in the vault for a future episode. All right. Well, I just realized we're a minute 40 in and people don't even know why they're here. So welcome to the security table. This is Chris Romeo, joined by Izar Tarandach, Matt Coles. All right. We're going to topic. What is it? I can't even complete a sentence this morning. We're going to topic about data breaches. Izar, set this up because I don't 100% have in my brain where you want to go here. So set it up for us.
Actually, it's not so much about data breaches. It's more about not knowing why we got out of bed. I think I don't know. I've been observing the past few months, or even more sparsely in the past few years, that once upon a time security was that domain with all the job security and the big budgets, and we could ask and it would be given, and this and that and the other one. But lately, and to be totally honest, even me personally, like just last week, I think, I got 3 pieces of mail, real mail, snail mail, saying you got breached. Like it was.
Oh, you got one of those too? Yeah,
3 of those. 3 of those.
3 of
from
those.
different companies completely. I mean, if I were able to put, like, apart from what I'm already paying, but if I were able to put sequentially in order the years of credit monitoring that I have, I mean,
how many times over?
Seriously, I mean, that's the Band-Aid, right? And that's where I'm going with this, that nobody cares anymore. And we spoke about this sometimes, that there's almost no consequences to data breaches.
Yeah,
and
but
I think that
why should we care?
Just to close the preamble here, I think that we are starting to see that reflect into those budgets and into those approaches to security that we do. Data security, information security, all kinds of good security. And people are just starting to say, so what? Yeah, okay.
Wow. So
yeah, I agree with you. I'm 100%. I mean, we had the massive social security data breach a couple weeks ago. First off,
really?
nobody sent any notices. Nobody sent any notices around.
I honestly, Matt, I had
they would
no
have
idea.
to send everybody.
But I had no idea that actually happened. I did not even.
Yeah, there was a big breach of social security data, and it wasn't through the Social Security Administration. It was through some company that had third party. Yeah. And, the way I found out I was impacted was I looked at haveidonethone.com. And everyone else, and I'm sure everyone, I mean, it's billions of records, and there's only 339 million Americans. So
I mean, it's historical data, right? So
yeah, it's historical data. Yeah.
And the way that people are just shrugging it off and going, okay, it happened.
What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about
it? Right?
What are you going to do about it?
Right.
And the answer is not much, because not only, apart from taking all the measures regarding your credit score. By the way, I don't understand why we still rely on social security numbers in the US so much.
Why are they
being like secret?
Why are they authentic? Yeah. Why are they credentials and not just identity?
Why? I mean, why? But anyway,
whoever designed this thing failed the threat model.
Right. And you know what? I'm sure that this whole thing is making the life of security vendors so much harder. And from the side of somebody who doesn't have mind power but gets to see a lot of products, I have to battle the fact that I have very limited budgets. I have requirements of functionality, and as we already said before, keep seeing the same tool, looking the same way, doing the same thing again and again and again. It just changes the color, right? And basically everything looks like the same thing now. Everything does the same thing now.
The title of this episode is Jaded Security Pro.
You sit down waiting for Gartner to tell you what's the next acronym that you have to pay attention to, or that you have to laugh at, right?
Izar's in rare form. Rare form right now. Just keep going. I'm just going to sit here and listen. Keep going. Keep going.
You know, I just keep asking myself, why did I get out of bed this morning? I mean, you know, nobody cares about what's going to happen. Nobody cares about how and good. Nobody cares about doing the things that I say should be done.
Wait, so are you giving up?
Why?
Are you giving up? Are you giving up?
No, because I still have like the good parts of it. I get to go to conferences. I get to talk to very smart people. I get to share. I get to commiserate with you guys. So
it keeps you employed.
That's too. I like to eat. That's an important thing.
We need the illusion of doing something in security.
No, that fits the thing. When you start commiserating, it's easy to go off the deep end, right? I think that the fact that we still have teams in security that day in, day out do the hard thing and try to do it the best they can, because we believe in protecting our customers and we believe in protecting IP. But again, I keep asking myself, when does the numbness that we got to at this point for data breaches and their and the results becomes again pain, and then we can move forward with what needs to be done?
I don't think it's ever going to be pain again. I don't see consumers somehow being impacted by data breaches in such a way that I feel personal pain, because the systems have been architected in such a way that use a credit card data breach, right? My credit card gets stolen by somebody. The system, the bank/credit card processor knows long before I ever would, when somebody tries to use the card, and they shut it down, they notify me, hey, there's a new card in the mail to you. So there is no, and I don't lose any money. None of my money gets tied up. Like, the system had the mitigation or the security control has been architected in such a way as to remove the pain point from me completely.
And so that convenience lulls people into a false sense of security, right? The bank is taking care of the security for you, right? You have no control and like you said, no knowledge of the event until it resolves itself on your behalf.
The bank is taking care of the impact, because you're not feeding it in your wallet.
But the bank detected the condition in the first place, right? So it detected that fraud can occur. They saw the fraud event. They reacted to the fraud event.
They blocked the transaction. So there's no money.
The impact to you as the user is, oh, it was all taken care of behind the scenes. I don't have to do anything. What's the first impact to me?
But the truth is that these systems, as everything, are fallible, and that failing results into still losses to fraud. So if you are using a card processor, and if you are getting hit with a lot of different card numbers, you will incur a loss in there. And that loss does get passed to the consumer. It's just that we don't feel it because it's small.
That's not my problem,
but it's
though,
there.
right?
It's not my problem. That's the problem. It's not my problem.
It's been isolated from me. But isn't this great security?
Yeah, that's sort of starting to think. It sounds like we got to a good place.
Wouldn't it be ideal if we were to build a feature and it had security controls in such a way that it protected the user without them doing anything? Isn't that a secure default?
That's what we aim at.
So the problem is there's a psychological problem with that, right? If it ain't broke, you have to fix it. The problem is it is broke and you have to fix it, but it takes care of itself. It's self-healing, right? Self-healing resilient systems. That's what we strive for. And that's correct. But without the user knowing that there's an impact, right? They're not going to change their behavior. And if their behavior was the cause of the problem in the first place, using credit card on a random site that they don't trust, or I guess it go in either direction, because if it's due to the customer bad behavior, then there really should be a feedback loop. Bad behavior caused some issue to occur. Here's what happened, right? And yes, the system can be self-healing, but you need that feedback loop so that you alter the behavior of the user. If the problem was entirely the fault of the bank or of a third-party processor or whatever, then having the system be self-healing and transparent to the user, or I should say opaque to the user, is probably okay, because there's nothing they could have done and nothing they did do, and therefore nothing they had to do. So I would be careful about making that blanket statement that self-healing and resilient systems is what we really want if there are behaviors we need to correct by the users, as opposed to.
But I would say in this use case, the behavior is corrected by the inconvenience of having my card replaced. So if I go use my card in some stupid place that I really should have known better, and my card gets compromised, I still have a 7 to 10 day window where I can't access that card. If it's a bank card, that's a little more difficult than if it's a credit card. I don't use credit cards, but if it's a bank card, now I don't have access to my account for 7 to 10 days. So I see that as like a self-correcting. Like if you do that 5 times in a row, you're so miserable because you have to go change your online bills 7 to 5 times. So in that case, I think it's going to be self-correcting, but I get your point. Like there's a psychological issue here. Could a guardrail or could a security control make things so good that the users make even worse decisions, or do you need to prevent them from being able to make the worst decisions?
Well, I think they do, right? If anything bad happens and the system takes care of itself, at some point a user might either consciously or unconsciously, consider, I can do whatever I want because the bank is going to take care of it, right? In this situation. So if the system continually knows, and by the way, with AI, if it gets like smart and is able to predict this sort of thing, then they're insulating the user from negative consequences. And at some point that's probably bad for 2 reasons. First off, we don't want to encourage bad behavior, but also what happens if that safety net fails? The user will have no knowledge of what they need to do and no knowledge of, the negative consequences that can occur. It would be wonderful, I think, if the bank said, well, your credit card was compromised. If they sent you a letter, if they self-healed the system, but they sent you a letter in the mail that says, well, the system was your card was compromised through some action. And here's all the chain of events and costs, like a breach report, right? This is what happened in the back end. And maybe that's a marketing thing, but also that sort of brings out the reality of what happens when that.
Wait, that gets sent to whom?
To the consumer, to the user.
Hey, waste
or make it available, Make it available
is a different thing.
Nobody opens their the mail from their mailbox. So
that's true. But
so I don't know.
Make it
Have you guys seen?
If you get available, that would be, I think, a good step.
Have you seen privacy.com? So if we're going to use this keep pulling on this credit card example, what they do is they're a virtual credit card provider or virtual card provider. So you make a connection from their site to your bank, and then you can generate valid card numbers. So like you can set up a card number for each of your online bill pays.
Yeah, my credit card does that.
Yeah.
Google Pay does that. Chase does that. Per transaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of insulates you even more from.
It does, but then it falls into the customer approach of what I have to press one more button. No, can't do that.
Complexity. I guess we're not really normal users, the three of us.
No.
We're like, ooh, you got a new security feature? Cool. Let's turn it on. Let's see what it can do. Oh, wow, that's neat.
We're gonna kick the tires on this one. Can you kick the tires? Can you close the trunk?
Yeah.
Most people are like,
no.
Nobody remembers that commercial, do you?
I don't watch TV commercials anymore. So.
You used to? Maybe back in the 70s or 80s?
In the 70s, I was a child. I was a small child.
Wait, you don't use credit cards. You don't watch TV commercials anymore. Which cavern should we send our mail to you?
So I'm basically in my bunker right now. I'm about a mile under the earth. So just getting ready to hatch a plan.
Any white cats around?
That's right. It's 1 million.
Do you have one of those little pit traps with the button?
Of course. Well, doesn't everybody have that?
Freaking lasers in their hands.
Right. All right. So where do we land here?
No, I mean, okay. So I like the idea that in some aspects we may have reached the goal of peak security and things are working so well that we don't notice when they fail. That's definitely where we would like to be. But to do that, we need effort, and that effort costs energy and money. Yeah. And I'm still zeroed on the fact that the impacts out there, society at large, are not being big enough that we can use to justify those efforts. For example, one of the breaches that I got this week was from a security provider, a health provider. And they're telling me that, hey, you know what? Somebody may have touched my medical records. I'm sure that a lot of people impacted have medical records that they don't want out there. So that's real impact. It has I won't say life and death, but it has a very large life impact.
You know that may term is used because it's easier to send you a breach notification than it is to actually know that you were actually specifically breached.
That's the legal side of it, but the practical side of it is sometimes you don't have a way to know what got extracted, what not, right? Yeah. So it's both a technical and a legal problem.
So if we come back around, though, you kind of started this conversation talking about the fact that it seemed like budgets were being hindered by this. And then we kind of we go into the deep end of a different pool. So let's kind of get out of that pool.
I think it's actually related, though. I'll just counter with, I think that's related to, let's go back to if the system is working and the system takes care of the problem for you, why do you need to spend money on it?
Yes.
What's the problem? What problem are you solving by throwing money at it? The system's already doing its job. It's already working. Why do I need to invest?
There's a maintenance.
Yeah, but maintenance is a lot different than.
And there's an operational side, right? When you think about a process like the credit card thing that we've been discussing here, there's an ML. I don't even think it's AI. I think it's ML because they've been doing it for longer than AI has been hot, right? Where they've been able to detect fraudulent transactions. But there's still an operations team driving that. It's not like the machine is completely making all of those decisions for you. So it's an operational security feature, which then your security program, you have some that are operational that still require care and feeding though. because you've got teams you got people that are driving it. You've got machines that you're working on making the algorithms better all the time. Right. So, but you raise a good point there, but I want to offer a counter to, I think the events of the last year or two could throw off that argument that budgets are impacted because people just don't care as much as they used to. I think it's important to look at the macroeconomic situation that we've been in the last couple of years.
True.
Budgets in general are down across the board. Now, it seems from what I've been hearing, what I've been looking at, cybersecurity is kind of is coming back up as a hot topic from a budgeting perspective.
Wait, back up? When did it go down?
Oh, it went up.
I mean, yeah, budgets definitely went down across the board. I mean, I get an opportunity to see from my own companies and then some other companies I advise. And yeah, it's been a tough couple of years here for a lot of companies because spending cyber budgets definitely got hit. Mm-hmm. If we look at the global perspective, maybe not individual, some companies probably spent more than they did in previous years. But I would say in general, my experience has been that people's budgets were cut just as a result of inflation and, belt tightening, all the other things, all the other corporate adages that got thrown into the process.
Does that include VC funding for like new startups?
VC funding has been very challenging in the last 2 years or so, other than in the AI space. If you had an AI idea, everybody was like, woo, here's $1 billion. Your valuation is $1 trillion. But wait, we just gave you one piece of paper that said we have an AI idea. They're like, you're worth $1 trillion. Come on. I'm exaggerating just a tiny bit, but yeah, I mean, AI is the only thing that's been super hot, right, in the VC space as far as people throwing money at it. But in general, what I've experienced is people are looking for around $1 million in revenue as their entry point to. And my answer was like, if I get to $1 million in revenue, I don't need you. Why would I want you on my board if I'm at $1 million in revenue?
So
I'll just keep cooking.
So it's self-selecting is what you're saying.
Some degree. So what do you guys think? Have you seen this macro impact as well?
Yes. And actually I even saw a bit of a golden lining in there. I had a bunch of people ask me, okay, so if I have a choice on where to put my dollars in application security, what's the most effective place to put those dollars? And 8 out of 10 times it would be, hey, you know what? If you just do your threat modeling right, you're going to get a lot of bang for the buck. And if you push like the other activities based on that threat model, you're going to get something back that you wouldn't otherwise. So on a very self-serving note, it did have a golden lining. But no, I think that the very fact that people find themselves in a situation where they have to choose where to put their dollars, should I go more for this or more for that? I think that it's caused people to take a deep breath and think, okay, where is my return of investment? Which tools are actually giving me something back? And that is the truth. I think that it's healthy. I think it's healthy. I think it's going to lead to the market not reinventing itself, but at least reevaluating itself in some form.
I mean, in considering the business case for your security budget is only going to get you promoted into an executive leadership position. Because if you have the ability to,
if you want it or not.
Yeah. But I mean, if you can push aside, I mean, and I'm sure you guys have had the same experience. I've seen people that can't do that. They can't think through, they can't look through the lens of the business because they're security people. I'm a security person and this is what we have to do. Mm-hmm. But wait, there's a business running behind this and the business experiences ebbs and flows. And so we may not have as much money. So you may have to go through a prioritization exercise, but anybody that wants to be a security leader inside of your organization, learn how the business works, learn how budgeting works, learn how to prioritize and how to run a business, and you'll be wildly successful.
So basically, a security person with an MBA is your recommendation.
Oh, listen, I heard have you guys followed this whole founder mode argument that's been going on in the startup world, or this idea that Brian Chesky from Airbnb did this talk at YC where he was talking about this idea of founder mode. But one of the things that they said is, I heard it on another podcast, in PayPal's very early days, they would not hire MBAs. They had a policy, we do not hire MBAs. And the reason was because they came in with preconceived notions about how you manage and run a business, which a startup and a Fortune 500 are very different entities in how you operate with them and how you run them. Right. And so
I don't want to talk too much about that because I'm married to a scholar in that field. But I always had the feeling that, MBAs was more of a rite of passage thing as a practical thing. But over time, I understood the other side of the coin, that they do look at a lot of things the people who rose in the business sometimes don't look at, and that there's value to that as well. But it's interesting because going down not one level, but looking at closer to the product. Last Friday, I was in a panel and we were discussing security champions. And one of the things that I offered there was that in the past few years, I managed to work with some security champions who were actually product managers. And they did bring a different view to the whole security champion thing because they had an understanding of the product and of the business and of the customer, which purely security people or purely developers who are security champions would find it a bit harder to offer. So I do think that that's soft in comparison to writing lines of code. Side of things that an MBA perhaps could bring, or product manager or somebody like that. I think that there's a lot of value that's there for us, and we have not explored that enough yet.
Mm-hmm. There is a downside of that, though, is that you need somebody to balance that perspective, right? So the developer is going to be done all about getting code changes made, to get security built into the design implementation, or not, but by and large they're going to. Whereas a product manager champion may be more aligned to the business cycle and therefore not push as hard. You need somebody to do both, right? You need somebody like, I think that's what Chris was saying earlier. You need somebody with technical capabilities, but also to have business experience, to know what's pragmatic, what's appropriate, how to negotiate your way through that. Right? That's probably the most important part for a champion, is not to try, not to force something, but to negotiate, right? And
not to impose.
Right. And and knowing how the business operates and how the development cycle and everything goes, applying deep technical knowledge to a negotiation like that is probably the best case scenario an organization can hope for when it comes to campaigns.
Come to think of it, I did notice a significant change in the way that I was effective doing what we do when I started adopting more of the side of the business people and the people who were selling what I was trying to protect, than just going, well, it's when reasonable security came to be, right? It's the whole idea of you just need that amount of security and not more than that. So yeah, that made looking back now, that made a big difference in my career. Yeah.
Wow, you mean risk management actually works?
Not as much risk management, because sometimes you have to say, you have to come and say, you know what? Yeah, it's risky. Yeah, it's bad, but yeah, I have to go for it. And
sometimes you got to run the business.
Yeah. And having that realization as a security person, that's going to keep you from waking up at 3 a.m. in a sweat and a panic saying, oh my God, how, why? Because the risk is not accepted,
GRC was right.
Now you are overdoing it.
No, pushing his buttons now. He's just
GRC.
picking on you. Look at the look on his face. He's just doing this to pick on you.
Oh, it's okay. Listen, most of my most enjoyable moments in this whole journey has been when Matt picked on something and I go, no, he's right. He's got something.
No, don't go there.
No, GRC, no, I think that you may be going overboard here.
Go back to Matt.
All right.
All my love for my GRC people.
Yeah, much love. Little shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to GRC, yo.
You should. First
All right, I think with
4-1 out for GRC.
Oh man. Right when I thought we were coming to a conclusion.
I think that we came quick.
For some reason, Matt keeps leaving.
It's the GRC people pulling the cable.
Matt keeps getting offended and just leaving. He's like, I'm hanging up. Okay, I'm back. You guys are stupid.
GRC Gremlin's pulling his cable all the time.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right. Well, I think that with that we can call this an episode. I feel like we made some progress there, thinking about and talking about the impact of how data breaches have been numb. We've become numb to them, but also from a positive perspective, it's because the security control is working. So I think we made some headway on understanding how that impacts, and it'll be interesting to see how that comes up in future conversations when we start to.
And now I have an idea why I got out of bed.
Well, folks, thanks for listening to another episode of The Security Tip.